Hello friends, welcome to the fantabulous world of stories and why we tell them from Culture Katha. My last video was on the miraculous birth stories of Drona and Kripa and how, despite being Brahmins by birth, they took to professions not prescribed for them. In that context, we also looked at the Varna social order and how it was probably a more flexible system in the early years of the epic's evolution. But we also saw how Drona refused to accept Ekalavya as his student. Unlike his Kshatriya students, Ekalavya was a Nishada, a forest dweller, and did not belong to the Kuru Panchala warrior clan. Now, here the question that arises often is, why did Drona refuse to teach Ekalavya? One theory that is proposed here is that Drona was hired by Bhishma for the Kuru family to teach only the Kuru princes and hence was disallowed from taking on any other student. That is not true. The epic clearly states that members of various other clans such as the Andhakas and the Vrishnis came to Drona to learn the use of arms from him. The epic also mentions how, on seeing the training he gave Arjuna, thousands of kings and princes lined up to learn from Drona. So, the theory that Drona was recruited to solely teach the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and that was the reason why he refused to teach Ekalavya, does not hold water. Does this mean then that Drona only wanted to teach his Kshatriya students and deny Ekalavya, the supposed low-born, the knowledge he so desired? Not really, because at this point the epic also mentions that he took Karna as his student. So if Drona only wanted to teach the Kshatriyas, why did he agree to teach Karna, who was thought to be a Sutaputra? So it appears that the decision to teach or not teach a student was Drona's individual choice and was not forced on him either by the society or by the Kuru family. So why then did Drona refuse to teach Ekalavya? Clearly, Drona was a man who did not part with his knowledge easily. There is an interesting story here that throws light on the kind of person he was. When he was training the Pandavas, he left specific instructions with his cook not to allow Arjuna to eat in the dark. Why did he do that? Because he feared Arjuna would end up doing something that he did not want him to. But unfortunately for Drona, it so happened that one evening when Arjuna was eating, the wind blew out the lamp he was using. So Arjuna found himself eating in the dark. This he realized he could do without any difficulty. His hand reached his mouth automatically even when there was darkness all around. This gave him the idea that he could continue to practice archery in the night even if there was no surrounding light. Arjuna was confident that with enough practice, his aim would become so good that he would be able to hit the target as smoothly even in the dark, maybe based on the sounds he could hear, just as his hand had automatically reached his mouth even when there was no surrounding light for guidance. And so Arjuna started to practice in the night to perfect his aim. When Drona came to know this, he was immensely pleased with Arjuna for his focus, commitment and hard work. Although initially Drona had not wanted Arjuna to acquire the skill to shoot without light, later when he came to know that Arjuna was working hard to acquire that very same skill, Drona was happy. In fact, he was so pleased with Arjuna that he promised him that he, Drona, would do everything possible to make Arjuna the greatest archer in the world, so no one else came close. And it is this promise made to Arjuna the reason why Drona extracted the most brutal Guru Dakshina from Ekalavya. Let's now get back to the Ekalavya story and continue it from where we left it. Although rejected by Drona, Ekalavya did not give up. He went back to the forest and created an image of Drona and taking the image as his guru, started to teach himself archery. Soon, with his exceptional faith in his guru and his supreme commitment, he mastered the skill of the bow and arrow. Then one day, the Kauravas and the Pandavas went into the forest for hunt. They took their dog with them. The dog ran behind their chariots for some time, but soon lost its way and strayed deep into the jungle. There, the dog probably saw Ekalavya and started to bark. Hearing the dog bark, Ekalavya shot 7 arrows in the direction from which the barking sound came and promptly hit his target. The scared dog returned to the hunt party with 7 arrows sticking out from its mouth. The Kuru princes were taken aback by what they saw and were curious to know the person who could perform this miraculous feat of shooting the target from a distance based on sound. To their surprise, they found the skilled archer to be not a Kshatriya but a Nishada, who claimed that Drona was his teacher. Seeing an equally accomplished or maybe even a better archer than himself, Arjuna became extremely unhappy. On his return from the hunt, he approached Drona and reminded him of the promise he had made to Arjuna to make him the best archer in the world. How is that going to be possible when Ekalavya, another student of Drona, seemed to be better than him and probably even the best in the world? It was then that Drona approached Ekalavya and demanded his Guru Dakshina from him. Drona asked for Ekalavya's right hand thumb, something that was absolutely essential for an archer, without which he would not be able to shoot. But Ekalavya did not hesitate, not even for a second. He emerged as the better man of them all by immediately cutting out his thumb and presenting it to his Guru Drona as his feast. Sadly for Ekalavya, after losing his thumb, he could never pull the bowstring as swiftly as he could earlier. The epic says that by demanding the supreme sacrifice, Drona managed to keep his word to Arjuna, and Arjuna went home relieved that he had vanquished all competition. But was it only Drona's promise to Arjuna that pushed him to demand such a bloody sacrifice from Ekalavya? Maybe not, because Drona had his own agenda in favoring Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to execute a certain personal mission for him. To do that, Drona was willing to go to any extent to ensure that Arjuna's desire to remain unequaled in archery was satisfied. What that agenda of Drona was, we shall take a look in my next video. So the story of Ekalavya was probably not one of just caste-based discrimination. Drona and Arjuna appear to have felt threatened by Ekalavya's potential. Neither of them wanted him as competition, and Drona was a man who would share his knowledge only in return for tangible benefits for himself. Caste and hierarchy don't seem to have mattered much for him. For him, backing the right horse, namely an empowered Arjuna, his brothers and his cousins, rather than an unempowered Nishada like Ekalavya, was important. Here, the epic places the two characters, Ekalavya and Drona, before us for us to compare. Despite having a high birth status, Drona comes across as a selfish man driving his own agenda, doing whatever suited his needs best. Ekalavya, on the other hand, despite coming from an apparently lower birth status, stands tall as a man who is not only talented but also as a man who keeps his word and adheres to his dharma. The epic itself is non-judgmental about the two, and in my opinion, it tells us in its own way that high birth or low birth is decided by a person's character and behavior and not by his or her birth. Friends, hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please do like, share and subscribe. And subscriber friends, please do remember to press the bell icon to receive notifications on new video uploads. Stay with me on this epic journey till we meet again. It's Tata, bye-bye. Take care.